Hi guys, so apologies for this video being a little late. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I had pretty much a nightmare 2 weeks that started almost straight after I posted my last video. I had a bit of a nightmare time at a wedding, and then I just kind of recovered from that, and my body decided to attack itself, have an issue with autoimmune disease, and I was like blind and swollen in this eye, hence why I'm still wearing my glasses. I'm not allowed to wear my contacts yet. And I just started to look a bit less lopsided. My eyes have gone back to normal as far as appearance, not with vision. And then my sisters gave me like a 24-hour sickness bug that just kind of struck me down. So I'm about a week late. I'm posting a video, which means there'll be 2 this week. But yeah, so apologies for being late, but I'm back and I'm alive. I spent so long feeling like I was just like dying. So yeah, this is a video that I wasn't actually intending to make. I had a completely different idea that was a requested video, which I'm going to film later on in the week. But this is in response to something I posted on Instagram last night, which is this post on my Holly Elizabeth about the vows Instagram. And so you can check that out, and I'll kind of explain. And I really didn't get the response to the post that I was expecting, so I'm kind of making a video in response to kind of talk about what prompted it and how I feel, and yada yada yada, you'll see. So basically this post is a lot of foul language. I have to admit that I try and tone my language down on here, but on Instagram I don't do so well. So I'm going to try and give you the edited version of the post. It's basically a list of things that I think I have learnt about life and being a good person and just general stuff since I grew up and stopped being so self-involved and quite horrible. And I list, let me see, I list 6 things that are pretty harsh. I'd say I was pretty harsh on my criticism of myself, and I think rightly so, because looking back, I was a pretty vile person when I was younger. I've really censored my YouTube, but people who have followed me way back will know that I was a really self-involved little bitch when I was younger. People who knew me even before that in school, yeah, I was questionable at best. And so I run through a couple of points, the first being when I used to be livid and full of rage when my mum used to force me to eat or drag me to therapy appointments or threaten to have me admitted against my will. And I was like, she is an awful person, and actually no, she was trying to save my life. I was being an awful, awful person, and I was horrible to her and to everybody who tried to help me. That's the censored version. 2, the fact that I felt like I was entitled to attention, and if people didn't give me attention, I would stop eating, or I would fly off the handle into rages because I'm ill. How dare people not care about me? How dare people not do this to me when I need them? But I was so interested in myself that I didn't care about other people. And if I was having a hard time and somebody I wanted to help me was having a hard time, with their boyfriend, or they hadn't got a grade that they wanted, I was like, well, what does their problem matter? My problems are worse. How dare they not pay me attention when I need it? Point 3 continued from point 2, when my friends left me and I was livid and I thought they were terrible people, but actually in retrospect, I'm kind of glad they didn't see me sink to the lows that I did, and they escaped without being hurt and filled with terror and panic that I was going to die every time I was with them, and also that they just haven't got those really awful memories of me that some people who stuck around do have. Point 4 was the fact that I was the centre of my own world, and I thought I was the centre of everybody else's world. I deserved to be, and I didn't. And being so self-absorbed made me really selfish and blind to everybody else's problems, and that was kind of crap. Point number 5 was school, and I had a hard time at school. I was quite badly bullied at school, and I don't ever condone bullying, but what I do realise at school is that I had teachers helping me, I had the head teacher helping me, my head of year helping me, I had my friends who really did try to help me, and all I did was throw it in their faces. I would scream that I couldn't attend school and then be livid if somebody tried to move me down into a lower set for an exam, and I would just expect to be able to swan in and out. I was given time where, when everybody else had to stay in school, I was allowed to go off the campus for my lunch times. I was supposed to get a cab, and I would run up the hill, and I wouldn't eat my meal, and then I'd run back, and I was allowed out of lessons to go to therapy, and then I would just completely abuse that time. And in retrospect, I look back and realise that everybody did so much to help me, and I just was horrible and self-absorbed and self-involved, and threw everything back in everybody's faces, and other people were struggling, and my teachers were spending their time making sure that they could send me work home. So my teachers worked overtime, and I was given more than an inch. I was given miles and miles, and I took even more miles off people. And I can understand why so many people, including students, were angry about the fact that I was treated differently, and I didn't seem to respect anything. So there was that. And the sixth thing is that my mental illness affected absolutely everybody around me, whether they wanted it to or not. Like at school, me swanning in and out of classes and me being treated differently affected my fellow students, whether they were my friends or not. My mental illness affected my friends, it affected my family, it affected my neighbours, it affected everybody. And the only person I cared about was me. And so I made this post, and that is a very censored version in case you don't follow me on Instagram, which is understandable because I'm very annoying on there. And I got all these comments saying, oh no, but you're a wonderful person, we all love you, don't think that's your disorder talking. And actually, I have to say that is not my disorder talking, that is the God's honest truth. I was an awful person. And I used to think that because I was ill, I could justify my behaviour. My illness was a reason for me to be an awful person and to treat people awfully and be selfish and self-centred and just horrible and be a brat. And now I've grown up and I'm still ill. I still have borderline personality, I still have depression, I still have anxiety, I still have anorexia, but I'm not a shit person anymore. Or at least I try my hardest not to be. I know that sometimes we all make mistakes, me included, and I'm not perfect, but I really don't think I'm this awful person anymore. And so it makes me question everything that I used to think when I was younger. And really what reminded me of this is that I still see the internet so full of young people who are just like I was, who feel like because they're ill, the world owes them a favour. And because they're ill, that justifies them screaming and shouting at people. And because they're ill, they can do what they want. And anybody who tries to help them is a bitch. And my bitch mom this, my bitch teacher that, my bitch therapist this. And I'm like, God, everybody's just trying to save your life. And you can't see it. Like, and I understand that I sound a bit hypocritical because I did just make the post about all the really unhelpful things people say to people with eating disorders. But I stand by that. And like I said at the end of that video, people can only really help us if we allow them to. And I think that is a separate thing, because what I'm saying now is that sometimes we allow ourselves to let our illnesses take over. We allow ourselves to let our illnesses make us into complete monsters. And rather than face anything, rather than face anything, we go, oh, well, you're not being accepting, you don't care about me, you should just let me die, you're getting in my way. We blame everybody else, which only makes us more angry, which makes us worse to be around. And I still see it, so many young people still have so much anger and are still so not ready to accept any responsibility. And we have to be accountable. Just like anybody else, just like people who trigger us have to be accountable for what they say, their actions and the effects that can have on us. We have to be accountable for our behaviour, and we have to keep ourselves in check. And I think that's what's really helped me, is that I keep myself in check. If I'm being a bitch, I do not let myself get away with it. And as much as it's hard, I apologise. And sometimes I say, you know what, I really struggle, I'm having a really hard time at the moment, it's making me a bit insane. And, you know, I've said to people recently, I'm having a really hard time, and so if I snap, I'm really sorry, but then I do apologise, and I realise that actually, yeah, my mental illness is really difficult, and sometimes, especially my borderline personality, makes me disassociate, it makes me do awful things and say awful things and not really be myself. But I have to be accountable for that. We all have to be accountable for what we do, whether it's our illness that makes us do it or not. And I feel like the internet at the moment is just awash with people. I mean, it was when I was younger too. That's why I think I fell so deeply into the world of the internet when I was like 15. Where just like with this post where I said that I was a shit person, and people are like, no, but you're beautiful, we love you. But no, I have to be, we all have to be held accountable for the shit things that we do and the awful ways we treat people. And especially when we neglect our friends, we neglect our relationships, we're awful to our parents, we're awful to our doctors, we're awful to anybody who cares about us. We rip people apart when they try to get us to eat, even though our minds are so starved that we actually probably can't, make a rational thought, and we can't rationally understand that we will die. When an anorexic or a bulimic says, I would rather die than eat, that is fair. I understand that. I understand that I've been there. Sometimes I think that I am there, but I'm not. But sometimes it feels like it on a really bad day. But that's not rational. You wouldn't rather die. You had so much before your eating disorder. There is so much out in the world. I have my children. They're people who are 15, 16 and haven't finished school and have so much to experience in the world. And they are screaming at their parents that they'd rather die than eat. And then coming online and saying what horrible people their parents are because their parents are trying to force them to eat. And I'm just like, you're not thinking rationally. You think you are. You think you are, but you're not. And then nobody ever apologises, or nobody ever, and people on the internet go, oh, you poor thing, this is such an awful thing for you. I wish your parents understood more. Your parents understand, and they understand that you're insane. And you're not thinking rationally. Like, sometimes I talk to my mom, and my mom is an angel. I love my mom. And I was so awful to her, and I hear her recount things of how things were when I was ill, and I was so sure that I was right and she was this bitch who was ruining my life, and I would rather die than do what she wanted, and she didn't understand how depressed I was, and how dare she do this, and thinking she could force me, and I can't wait till I'm 18 so I can run away and you can't put me into treatment, and how that made her feel. And I wasn't rational, and I just didn't have anything in my head that made sense anymore, except to me and all my sick little friends online, who actually I really love, and I still talk to a lot of them, and so that sounds like an insult, but you were all really sick, and we can all see that. So, and as much as I love the internet, and I'm still online, I still am making these videos, I still post on Instagram, the internet is a big part of my life, but going back and having this relapse and being online again and talking about my eating disorder has re-exposed me to the part of the internet that is not pro-Anna. Pro-Anna, I've got another pro-Anna video coming. Don't get me onto that now. It's not pro-Anna, but it's just the not holding anybody accountable and saying, you are still a beautiful person, we love you, oh, you're a bitch mom, yeah, that's so hard for you. No, make people accountable. If somebody can't see that they need to be accountable, we need to make them accountable. Me writing this post and being like, yeah, I was a shit person, I don't need somebody to say, oh, but you're beautiful, we love you. I appreciate it, I really do, but that's not what I need. I know that I'm a better person now. And I feel like it is really important for me to face the fact that I used to be an awful person. It's important for me to be truthful and be like, I don't want to be that person again. And this whole culture we have of constantly suffocating each other in love, when really what needs to happen is someone who said, actually, no, you're wrong, you're in the wrong. Or somebody, and I did get a couple of comments, people saying, I'm so glad that you see you're a shit person, you've grown up, this is really positive, for want of better language. I think we need to move on from this culture where we just so supportive, blindly supporting each other, because we're blindly supporting each other to death, quite literally to death. People are going to die because they can run away from their real lives onto this support and love on the internet that doesn't encourage their illness, but doesn't at any point tell them that they're being irrational, psychotic monsters who need to be stopped. And it was a bit of a wake-up call yesterday that I got the comments that I did, because I thought that what I was saying was like really positive, like, yay me, I'm not a self-absorbed little bitch anymore. But I got more comments than I was expecting, reassuring me that I don't need to be so negative about myself. And I just wasn't expecting that. So yeah, I don't know how much sense this video makes. Normally I plan out my videos, but this was a bit of an emotion-filled rant. But I tried to stay calm. So yeah, if this makes sense, please leave me some feedback. You know, I love feedback. I love interacting with you guys. I will be back. I just, midway through this video, I remembered that I've got the piranha video to make. I've also got a video about parenting and breastfeeding with an eating disorder, which is a continuation of the video I made years ago about pregnancy with eating disorders. So I am going to be back. I'm aiming for another video this week, and then one early next week. So yeah, fingers crossed I'm not going to get sick again. And yeah, thank you so much for watching and putting up with my ramblings. Bye.